Good evening.
Good evening.
Today's date is Tuesday, August 27th, 2024, and this is the regular scheduled board meeting for the Richland 1 School Board of Commissioners for Richland County School District 1. We are located at AC Flora High School, 1 Falcon Drive, Columbia, South Carolina, 29204. We'd like to read a statement. Pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act, FOIA, all persons, organizations, and media outlets, as requested, have been notified of the time, date, place, and agenda of tonight's meeting. The time is now 6:02. I believe we had a start time of 6:01, Secretary Treasurer.
That's right.
At this time, we do have an agenda ahead of us, and would like to entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Mr. Chairman, move that we go into executive session.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Devine, second by Commissioner Harris, that we now go into executive session. Question or discussion? Seeing none, hearing none, we'll now cast our vote manually. All right. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Please be advised that Commissioner Clyburn is not here yet, so that is a 6-0 vote. We'll now read into the record, public record, what we will be discussing in executive session. Under Office of the Board, which is 3.01, legal advice regarding the Vince Ford Early Learning Center construction project. Under Item 4, Office of Human Resources, 4.01, HR Personnel Update, 4.02, Administrative Appointment, 4.03, Administrative Appointment, 4.04, Administrative Appointment, 4.05, Hiring of Personnel. At this time, we're now going to executive session. August 27th, 2024, we are at AC Flora High School, 1 Falcon Drive, Columbia, South Carolina, 29204. We are here for our regular scheduled board meeting for the Richland 1 School Board of Commissioners for Richland County School District 1. Please be advised that we did go into executive session at the time of 6:02, Secretary Treasurer?
6:03.
6:03 with a 6-0 vote. That was by way of Commissioner Harris and second by Commissioner Weston.
We went in on motion by Commissioner Devine and seconded by Commissioner Harris.
Thank you, thank you. And then we came out of executive session at what time?
6:27.
6:27 with a motion from Commissioner.
Commissioner Harris and seconded by Commissioner Weston.
Thank you, Secretary Treasurer. We're now in our public session, and we do have an agenda set before us. Dr. Witherspoon, is there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I'd like to remove from consideration this evening item 10.03.
All right. Please be advised that we will be removing item 10.03, which is contract construction, Vince Ford Early Learning Center. That will be removed from tonight's agenda. All right. We would like to start off with item 6.01, which is the invocation, which will be done by Commissioner Weston.
Thank you. Heavenly Father, we thank you again for your grace and for your mercy. We ask that you help us to make informed decisions for the betterment of our community and in benefit for our children. We ask you to stand by us, to grace us again with your many blessings. In your Son's name we pray and count it done. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Commissioner Weston, for your prayers and your thoughts. Thank you for all your work on here on the board, as well as what you do in the community. As stated, we did remove item 10.03 from the agenda, but we're now at that item, which is 6.02, agenda adoption. What's the pleasure of the board at this time?
Move for approval with removal of the said item from the agenda.
Second.
As a move by Commissioner Devine, second by Commissioner Myers. Question or discussion? Seeing none, hearing none, we'll now cast our vote electronically or manually? Manually. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. We're now at item 6.03, which is memorial resolution We would like to invite the family of Terry Youngener to the stage. Commissioners, would y'all join me?
Oh.
You can come into the office. To the front, right here.
Oh.
Y'all stand, y'all stand. All right? Yeah. I'm gonna read this coming.
Got a microphone? Mr. Bishop.
In memoriam, whereas Terry Youngener was an instructional assistant at AC Flora High School in Richland County School District 1, and whereas she gave 10 years of dedicated service to Richland 1 and AC Flora High School, and whereas she departed this life on the 28th day of July in the year of 2024, and now therefore be it resolved by the members of Richland 1 Board of School Commissioners that the name Terry Youngener and the memory of her contributions not be forgotten. Further, that this resolution may be enrolled in the records of this institution and as an expression of sincere appreciation of her for her service, a copy be given to her family. Signed by Commissioner Dr. Aaron Bishop, Chairman, Commissioner Angela Clyburn, Vice Chairman, Chairwoman, Commissioner Robert Lomanak, Secretary Treasurer, Commissioner Jamie Devine, Parliamentarian, Commissioner Cheryl Harris, Commissioner Tamika Myers, and Commissioner Barbara Weston, Richland 1 Board of School Commissioners.
Mr. Bishop, don't know if we see Ms. Childs, if she want to come forward, our principal, if you want to come forward as well.
Thank you, thank you. All right, we're now going to Office of Student Support, 7.01, McKenty Vento, presented by Ms. Boone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I think so. Thank you. Good evening. The McKinney-Vento Homeless Assistance Act is federal legislation that ensures educational protections for students who are experiencing homelessness. I'm having a little technology problem.
All right?
Okay, thank you. When we think about who's considered homeless for educational purposes, it's a much broader definition. The core of the definition says anyone who lacks a fixed, regular, and adequate nighttime residence. This federal legislation also gives you examples of living situations that would be considered homeless, like sharing the housing due to a loss of housing, economic hardship, or similar reason. We also consider families, children who may be living in hotels, motels, trailer parks, camping grounds, all of this because there's a lack of alternative housing. Families, children who may be in emergency or transitional shelters, children who may be abandoned in hospitals, children who may be living in public or private places that are not designed for humans to live, such as cars, parks, bus or train stations. In some cities, you see where families may have erected tent cities. Sometimes you even hear of families or homeless folks who may be living under park benches. Families, children who may be living in abandoned buildings, substandard housing. And when we consider a family or student who may be living in substandard housing, we actually would be looking at families, students who may be living in homes that may not have running water, utilities. It may be overcome with rodents, that kind of thing. A migratory student would only be considered homeless if they were living in any of the circumstances that we just described. There's also a subset of children who have been identified by this federal legislation, and it's unaccompanied youth. And McKinney-Vento describes an unaccompanied youth as a youth who is not in the physical custody of a parent or guardian. And there may be lots of reasons why this is the case. You sometimes hear these children referred to as throwaways or runaways. Maybe there was a situation where the student did not want to go along with the family rules, and maybe the parent kicked them out of the house or they ran away. You hear of children, students who may be couch surfing, who may be living from here to there, girlfriends, boyfriends, that kind of thing. The key thing to keep in mind is that these are students who are not with a parent or guardian, and they have the same educational protections as a student who is with a parent or guardian. Okay, one of the main things to think about or to keep in mind when you think about this federal legislation is that the whole intent is to ensure that these students have educational rights and protections. They have the right to immediately enroll in school, even if they don't have normally required documents. And it's not that they can just choose arbitrarily what school they want to enroll in. It's a choice of two schools. Either the local school, which would be the school that students who are living in the attendance zone where they are living would attend, or either the school of origin. And the school of origin is defined as the school that the student attended last when they were permanently housed. Again, these students must be immediately enrolled, and even if they don't have normally required documents like birth certificates, immunization records, proof of residence, we must immediately enroll them and then work with the schools to get those documentation. Another right is the right to receive transportation. So we must provide transportation for the students to and from school. We also must make sure that they receive services that are comparable to non-homeless students. I wanted to just share a few highlights with you from last school year. When we look at our data from last school year, we identified 692 school-age students and then an additional 93 students or children who were birth to 2 years old and 3 to 5 year olds. We are required by federal law or through the State Department to not only serve or identify school-age students, but we must also work with families who have younger children. The total number of students that we identified last school year was 785. And when you look at that grand total, that averaged 22 new students a week that we were identifying. We also provided after-school tutoring at area shelters to include Homeless No More, Palmetto Place, and Sister Care. Another big initiative that we launched 2 years ago, which was in partnership with the NAACP, was to provide housing clinics across the district. We scheduled those clinics at various schools across the district, and for the most part, we targeted all of the clusters. Last school year, we had a total of 9 clinics, and we had approximately 400 families that we served. This was an opportunity for our families to receive assistance in a one-stop shop setting where they were able to get direct support services from organizations such as Cooperative Ministry, Wateree Community Actions, South Carolina Legal Services, USC Law, Columbia Housing. So they were able to get their immediate needs addressed in a one-stop shop. This school year, we will continue this initiative, and South Carolina Legal Services will be our partner. This graph sort of gives you an overview of where our students were last school year. You can see the 93 that were birth to 2, 3 to 5 year olds. And then when we look at elementary, middle, and high school, you see a breakdown by the levels. Any questions?
Any questions at this time? Okay, Commissioner Harris.
Thank you, and thank you so much, Ms. Boone, for this presentation. We are in school now, our 3rd week. Where is our numbers as of right now?
As of Friday, we have a total of 211.
Okay. So we're already at 211 kids in 3 weeks. So instead of 22 kids a week, that number is grown tremendously.
It has. But, I mean, we continue to identify students each week, but it levels out when you look over the whole year.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, any other questions? Okay, Commissioner Myers.
So can you give me an outline, how can that transportation work? So if a student was zoned for Columbia High and emergency happened and they have to move to, let's say Sumter, we have to provide transportation Monday through Friday to and from for that student?
When you look at determining, I guess, what's in the best interest of the child, you really have to sort of drill down, ask questions, look at the situation. Now, if that was a senior, you know, who needed to stay at Columbia High, if they transferred to a school in Sumter, who is on a whole different schedule, where it wouldn't line up, it would prevent that child from graduating on time, then yes, you know, that would definitely be something that we would need to consider. But everything that we do in terms of providing transportation and services is based on what's in the best interest of that child. So of course you do that in concert or conversation with the parent or guardian, you know, as well as talk to school, talk to the student, and sort of get a sense of what makes sense.
All right.
Thank you for that. And my second part, so for instance, it's a family of 4, let's say 2 in elementary, 1 in middle, 1 in high. We have to provide transportation for each one of those schools. So we stopping by the elementary school as well as middle, as well as high. Will they all be in on the same transportation?
You mean in the same vehicle?
Yes.
It really just depends, because oftentimes with the start of school days in Richland 1, it's not the case. Everybody's not piled into one cab. So it really just depends, and the transportation vendors that we use, they pretty much determine that. Now, if there's an issue or concern where maybe the parent says, you know, I would like for my student to ride with the older sibling, we just sort of have to make sure that makes sense, because, you know, at some schools you can't get to school before a certain time. So it's a matter of trying to juggle all of that.
Thank you. I was just trying to get clarity if the elementary was getting out at 2:30, was they sitting in the taxi cab until the middle school getting out?
Oh, no, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you for that information. No other question.
All right, with no other questions, we'll now, okay, Commissioner Devine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for your presentation, Ms. Boone. How long are we obligated to provide the service to the student?
Well, once a student has been identified as protected by McKinney-Vento, they're protected for the duration of that school year. So even if that student becomes permanently housed in that year, if it's not in the attendance zone for that school and transportation is needed, we have to provide transportation.
All right. And typically, your funding is federal dollars, is that correct?
Yes.
Typically, what's that dollar amount, roughly?
Well, as you all know, just like we got ESSER funds, McKinney-Vento got American Rescue Plan monies, HCY. So that money now has to be liquidated by the end of September, and we have to have it all, you know, everything wrapped up by the end of the year. So with that monies, we got close to $500,000. But typically, we're funded through a competitive grant. We're in year 3 of a 3-year grant. We're writing now for a new grant. But the monies, I think the 3-year grant that we just are wrapping up is like 90,000, 90+ thousand.
And so, and the remainder of your money comes from local?
The remainder of the money really comes through general funds in terms of providing transportation.
All right. Then last question, Mr. Chairman. Not to compare, but do you know how we compare with surrounding districts as it pertains to McKinney-Vento number of students served?
Oh, we're up in the high numbers. I mean, when we look at our counterparts like Richland 2 and even Charleston County, which is a much larger district, our numbers are higher than they are, because I'm in contact with the coordinator there quite often.
Very good. All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ms. Boone.
Commissioner Clyburn.
Okay. Thank you so much. And just to follow up on the last question that Commissioner Devine had about the numbers, you know, considering surrounding districts and comparing those, us to other districts, but our poverty levels are, can be much higher than some of those other districts, and that affects those numbers as well, correct?
Well, I mean, poverty definitely affects or impacts homelessness. And so when we look at the families that we work with and serve, it's not that they don't work, they don't make a living wage. So definitely we're talking about families who are impacted by poverty.
Okay, thank you so much. And then the question that I had is dealing with partnerships. You mentioned some organizations that we work with, such as Homeless No More and Watery Community Actions and some of the others. Are there any partnerships that could alleviate or you know, help bring a child and a family out of homelessness that you could name?
I guess when I think about what you just asked, to me, the issue or the concern is not only a local or state problem, it's a national problem. There's a lack of affordable housing. Just like I talked to a parent today who works. She's living doubled up with a family member. But when she's trying to rent property, they require you to make 2 and 3 times the rent. She doesn't make that kind of money. So that's really the issue, why there's so much homelessness, because there is a lack of affordable housing.
Thank you so much.
All right, Commissioner Devine again.
Thank you. One more, and just to add to that, being a housing person myself in Columbia, Richland County, there's a shortage of about 13 to 16,000 affordable housing units. So that's a number that we need to keep in mind as we go along with this program. Lastly, something that I thought about, because we've done this over the last several years, for many, many years, the type of support that you provided when we've had floods, when we've had families move from apartment complexes, nothing due to their own, or families just had to move for whatever reason. What type of support do our students get, example, for in aftercare? Do they receive scholarships for aftercare, those type things?
Well, the beauty, is nice that you mentioned that. The beauty, we have a very good partnership with Extended Day. So any of our students who are in need of or who would like to participate in after school can get scholarships to attend. And so we do regularly refer families to that office. Also, some of our shelters provide after schools, so they're able to participate in those programs as well.
Very good. All right. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Myers.
Last question. Test scores in attendance with those students, do we have any updates on how the attendance look with them and test scores? Is it passing or does it affect the test scores? Just curiosity.
Well, attendance is something, of course, that we definitely look at, and we work closely with AARE to sort of monitor and track that data. I don't have that before me today, but I can get you some information about that.
Thank you so much, and I definitely appreciate this information this afternoon.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right, thank you so much for that discussion. Thank you for your presentation. We'll now go to item 8.01, which is public participation. I would like to read a statement. We are now at public participation. The public participation portion of our meeting where an individual can speak on an agenda item or a non-agenda item. Speakers may offer objective comments on school operations and programs that concern them. You are allowed 3 minutes to speak, and at the last 30 seconds of your time, our parliamentarian, Commissioner Jamie Devine, will cue you to start wrapping up your comments. The board will not respond tonight, but we will respond in writing within 10 business days. First, we have Scott Barber.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. Thank you for allowing me the privilege to speak. I'm here, welcome to AC Flora. Did you know that AC Flora High School is the third oldest high school in the district, only behind Eau Claire High School and C.A. Johnson? Did you also know that AC Flora has the top enrollment high school in the district, behind, or above, ahead of Lower Richland, and approximately twice as large as Keenan, Columbia, and Eau Claire high schools as well? One thing I wanted to say, hey, congratulations to the HR department. They seem to be making tremendous progress in hiring certified teachers. I think when I was here the last time, the number was probably 192, and as of this morning, it's like 135. So kudos. The question I have for the board is, why did it take this long? What happened between May and now the second week of August that we're able to hire teachers in somewhat rapid fashion? Does Dr. Witherspoon have some answers for that? Does the director of HR have some answers in it? What's the turnaround time? My son finally got a chemistry teacher in the last week, probably after the second week of class. And turns out that individual, I think, applied in May. So what were we doing all summer? I think that's a question the board needs to ask of the superintendent and the leadership and HR as to what's going on. Why are we having problems? So one of the things I was also looking at is we've heard a lot of talk about the strategy, the strategic plan, right? Kind of around the Early Learning Center and around other stuff. And, you know, the Early Learning Center had one of the performance goals. You guys just presented a new one for 2024 to 2025. And you touted, hey, the 3K, 4K program, you're going to go from a 40% career-ready thing to 67% number. My question to you is, if the sole purpose of this program is to educate 3 and 4K program kids, why is that number not 80 or 90%? So I ask you, how do we believe that number? Have you set the bar too low? And so it got me thinking as I look back to 2019, the strategic plan for 2019 to 2024. They are very similar. The 2019 to 2024 and 24 to 2029 are very similar in
30 seconds.
metrics. I want to point out one of the career goals is ELA readiness. The 2019 goal was by 2024, we were supposed to be 80% ELA and 80% math and data. Do you know the actuals for those scores are 68, 71, 61%, matching year 1 or 2, and the math ones have dropped by 7% from where you started. So how are we going to believe what you say in the strategic plan?
Time is up.
Thank you. And that concludes public participation. We'll now go to our consent agenda, which is item 9. Without no objection, we'll take these all together. And if you want to ask any questions about any of the consent agenda items, you can definitely do that at the time of question. 9.01 minutes, August 13, 2024. 9.02, July 2024, monthly financial report. 9.03, contract extension, security guard and support services. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Vine. Question or discussion about any consent agenda items? Seeing none, hearing none, we'll now cast our vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Just Dana, do you want to start doing electronically from this point forward? Thank you so much. All right, we're now on the Office of Operations, which is item 10.01, which is Facility Condition Assessment, which is presented by Ms. Allen.
Good evening. Chairman Bishop, members of the board, Dr. Witherspoon, the administration is requesting approval to award a contract to MGT of America Consulting LLC to provide facilities condition assessment. The administration so recommends.
You heard the recommendation of the administration. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Devine. Question or discussion? Seeing none, hearing none, we'll now cast our vote electronically. I'm reading this, but I'm Angela, you're not.
It's not,
You're not in?
I'm in, but it's not coming
You
up.
may want to authenticate. Make sure you're logged in, because she's not registered. But what is your vote?
Yeah.
Okay? That is a 7-0 vote. Please be advised that all 7 Board of Commissioners are in
Now it
attendance. All right? So is she in now? All right. She's not in? Okay, we're going to do manual.
Just say.
All right, we'll move forward with manuals. Is that okay? All right, thank you. We're now at item 10.02. Ms. Allen.
The administration is requesting approval to award a contract to Paramount Custom Signs to provide marquee sign refurbishment. The administration so recommends.
You heard the recommendation of the administration. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Myers. Question or discussion? Seeing, okay, Commissioner Weston.
Thank you very much. In looking at this, the Paramount Custom Signs, when you say marquee sign refurbishment, estimated to be such a high number for 26 schools. So that's refurbishing signs that have been there for a little while, a long time, because I know we talked about that previously.
Mr. Grant.
I'm looking at the high schools, AC Flora, CA Johnson, Eau Claire, Hayward, and all of those. Those are, you say, refurbishing the old?
Putting in new
marquees?
digital signs, and some of them may be on an old post that remains. Some of them may have digital signs already there, and it would be replacing the digital components.
Okay, for those and the middle schools and the elementary schools.
That would be the same case for all of them.
Okay, and what's the age of those signs? Do you have a general idea?
No, I don't have the list in front of me, but we can get the exact age on each of the ones that are currently existing.
Thank you, sir.
All right, no other questions? There is a motion and a second on the floor. We now cast our vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it, 7-0 vote, motion passed. We're now at item 10.04, which is really actually 10.03 on the new agenda, okay? And I'll read it to make sure everyone's clear. Contract crossing guard services. Ms. Allen.
The administration is requesting approval to award a contract to Cross Safe of Charlotte, North Carolina, to provide crossing guard services. The administration so recommends.
You heard the recommendation of the administration. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Devine. Question or discussion? Commissioner Weston.
Yes, and looking at the contract extension for security guards and support services, I asked last time about how many security guards we had, and my question is, can some of those people act as security guards if we are, have a large amount of security people? Instead of hiring someone for 2.5 hours as crossing guards, et cetera, can we use our security?
Mr. Grant.
Question is can some of our SSAs, school security associates, also work as crossing guards? So this crossing guard company is a vendor. Our school security associates are hired by the district. And so if they want and are able to, based on their schedule, they could work for the crossing guard company based on their schedule. But the intake time is the same, and our school security associates during intake are working with the weapons detectors. And so in the morning, they're not gonna be able to do both positions. There may be some cases in the afternoon where they could help as a crossing guard in the afternoon when they're not, because we're not doing weapons detecting in the afternoon. So they would be allowed to do that if their schedule permitted.
And then that they would be working 2 jobs.
They would be working as an SSA for the district, and then they would have the option to go work for this vendor as a crossing guard. The same as other positions could do that as well.
All right, you good? No other questions? Okay, I think I see Commissioner Lomanak.
Thank you, Chairman Bishop. I'm just wondering, and Dr. Witherspoon, I've conveyed this to you in an email. I've got a number of concerns about some road crossings that don't have lights and 4-lane roads where there have historically been crossing guards. There haven't been yet. Will this contract ensure that all of those spots are covered? And if so, how quickly can they be put into action?
Yes, there was information that was shared with the board last Friday regarding crossing guards, and pending board approval this evening, the vendors indicated through Mr. Grant that they would be able to start within a number of days. But in the meantime as well, we have been using SSAs as well as City of Columbia officers as well as a support during this time.
Thank you.
No other question or discussion? Okay, Commissioner Myers.
Just for clarity, why this wasn't taken care of before the school district start, before school start this year?
Mr. Grant?
So working through a change in leadership, it did not get completed as quickly as we wanted. And we were using the same vendor as the city had previously used. These are all the the crossing guards that the city used to employ, this company. And so we're working through the process as quickly as we could once we got all of the information and all of the financials ready.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, thank you, Mr. Grant, for your team bringing this before the board. This has been a very hot topic across the state that we look into crossing guards because we are not authorized as a school district to stop traffic. But this allows, I think this company assumes liability for their employees versus us when it comes to this. I know Richland too, and I've had several conversations as their regional director that we look into finding crossing guard companies to help not just Richland 1, but Richland 2, address this concern that we have. So I first of all want to thank you for bringing this before us and also just clarifying the fact that this company will assume liability when it comes to providing those services, because we do have a lot of children that walk to and from school. So this does help us in addressing that concern. Just wanted to add that to the conversation, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to add as well, the necessity of this vendor when it comes to the safety of all of our children, to maybe try and, for lack of words, move one set of personnel to this place leaves another area of our school, and I'm being very delicate about this because of security protocols, but it could leave some exposure to what you call the intake process, or when our children are coming out. And also, if we don't have enough personnel at the intake, it also can delay learning because of the bottleneck of students coming in because there's not enough personnel to check them in. So the necessity of these crossing guards, I do understand. And also, here's something else that is necessary, that as a community, we be very vigilant. If you are a person who remembers the neighborhood watch that happened at night, let's do a neighborhood watch in the morning. Be vigilant in making sure that you keep an eye open for speeding cars. And I want to thank City Councilman Will Brennan, who contacted me and assured that the City of Columbia Police Department will position themselves to make sure that any vehicles that's motoring down our pathways and driveways and our roads will be stopped, because that is the threat to all of this, right? So thank you for making sure that we make this vendor available to us to make sure we have crossing guards for our children, as even some parents who walk their children to school on a daily. So just wanted to make sure I voice my support of this opportunity to get us in a place of safety. All right, thank you so much. No other question or discussion? All right, we'll keep on moving, but this is an action item. It has been moved and properly second. We're going to do a manual vote still. We can do a manual, excuse me? She's in. Let's go electronically. All those, we'll cast our vote. All right, you said that. It is a 7-0 vote, the motion passed. All right, we are now on the Office of Finance, and to expedite, still go through this process meticulously, can we take item 11.01, 11.02, 11.03, 11.04 without no objection? Okay, let me read those in, and then we'll entertain a motion in a second. We're doing 11.01, which is contract, provide employment sourcing position. 11.02, contract, provide instructional resources virtual position. 11.03, contract, specialized student transportation services. 11.04, contract, E-rate consultant services. And that's it. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move for approval.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Devine, to take all the said items together. Question or discussion? Commissioner Lomanak.
Thank you, Chairman Bishop. On the 11.02, the virtual teaching instructional positions, how many virtual teachers does that contract provide?
Dr. Kumas.
Just
Go
keep
ahead,
talking and it'll
keep
catch
Dale
up.
adjusted.
It's going to provide
not just the number of teachers, it's providing number of periods. So on the 4x4s, it would be up to eight periods. So this particular company is going to be a little different than the one that we're using now. They're going to charge us, again, per period, per teacher, and then we can also use them not only in one location, but in several locations. So we can have one teacher teaching a period at two different locations at the same time. So they're actually going to provide different services for us.
So how many periods does this contract provide for?
It's going to provide for 8 periods, and it's divided over the high school and the middle school.
I guess I'm lost a little bit. 8 periods in each school?
Let me pull it up real quick.
Mr. Chair.
Dr. Witherspoon.
Yeah, while Dr. Kumas is looking, this is as we did with the previous company and with this one, to supplement, it's going to depend in terms of, again, what's needed per course, per class, based on HR continuing to hire, continuing to look at those things. This will be a supplemental position. But estimated amount is around the service, and again, what's estimated, but that not to exceed that amount, but it will depend.
Okay, so it's as needed, and we don't pay
That is
unless we actually use a service. Okay.
That is correct.
Thank you, Dr. Witherspoon.
All right, any other questions? Commissioner Weston.
In doing this, we are providing the certified teacher in the class, and is that one teacher just in name only, or will that person actually be virtually in that classroom?
The teacher will be virtually in the classroom, and they will be South Carolina certified.
Okay, and let me see how I can ask this delicately. If I were in the class as a classroom teacher and they needed an English teacher to be in that particular classroom, would it be just under my name, or I would need to physically be there to answer questions, et cetera?
They will be physically there, virtually there to answer questions during that class time.
Okay, and so it won't be a teacher who is teaching at the school as another add-on class?
No, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
All right, any other questions? All right, we'll now cast our vote. It's a 7-0 vote for the items 11.01 to 11.04. Motion passed. All right, we're now at 11.05, FY 2024-2025 Internal Service Fund, presented by Ms. Bean.
Good evening, Chairman Bishop, Commissioners, Dr. Witherspoon. Project Director has developed one internal service fund for fiscal year 24-25. This internal service fund is the Warehouse Internal Service Fund. The funding source is warehouse supply and maintenance issues. The budget is $3.7 million. The administration requests approval for the 24-25 Internal Service Revenue Fund.
You heard the recommendation of administration. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Devine. Question or discussion about this item? Seeing none, hearing none, we'll now cast our vote electronically. Gonna take it manually? All right, let's move manually for here on out for the board meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. 7-0 vote.
It's running slow.
It's slow.
Yeah, yeah.
Delay.
All right, we're at 11.06, request for reallocation of fund balance, presented by Ms. Bean.
During the state legislative session, legislators passed Proviso 1.3G of the 2024-2025 Appropriations Act, which states that districts shall report monthly to the Department of Education their monthly general fund balance that will be used to calculate a state average general fund balance for reporting by the Revenue and Fiscal Affairs Office. The following items will be included as an assignment of the general fund balance for the fiscal year 23-24. The administration reserves the right to change items based on the external CPA audit report. The items are 9.25% of the required fund balance per board policy, reserve for capital projects, amount for fiscal year 26 revenue approved for budget, amount for fiscal year 25 revenue approved for budget, summer programs previously funded by ESSER, staff recruitment and retention, staff longevity supplement, reserve for instructional needs, excess sick over 90 days supplement, and E-rate for fiscal year 24-25, totaling $72.3 million. This is submitted as information.
Okay, this is information item. Any question or discussion? Okay, seeing none, hearing none, thank you so much. All right, we're now going to item 12.01, which is HR personnel update.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Chairman Dr. Bishop, members of the School Board of Commissioners, Dr. Witherspoon. HR updates were provided in executive session as information. If you have any questions, I'll answer them at this time.
All right, any question or discussion at this time? Seeing none, hearing none, thank you so much. Item 12.02, administrative appointment.
Yes, sir. The administration recommends the appointment of employee with the initials KC to the position of Special Education Coordinator at Special Services for the 24-25 school year. The administration so recommends.
You heard the recommendation of administration. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Devine, second by Commissioner Harris. Question or discussion? Seeing none, hearing none, we'll now cast our vote manually. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it, 7-0 vote. Motion passed. 12.03, administrative appointment. Dr. Kumas.
Yes, sir. The administration recommends the appointment of employee with the initials SM to the position of an assistant principal at Bradley Elementary School for the 24-25 school year. The administration so recommends.
You heard the recommendation of the administration. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Devine, second by Commissioner Harris. Question or discussion? Seeing none, hearing none, we'll now cast our vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. 7-0 vote, the motion passed. Item 12.04, administrative appointment. Dr. Coombs.
Yes, sir. The administration recommends the appointment of the employee with initials PL to the position of an assistant principal at Watkins Nance Elementary School for the 24-25 school year. The administration so recommends.
Heard the recommendation of the administration. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Myers, second by Commissioner Harris. Question or discussion? Seeing none, hearing none, we'll now cast our vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. 7-0 vote, motion passed. 12.05, hiring of personnel. Dr. Coombs.
Yes, sir. The administration recommends hiring all 32 teachers on the attached list for the 24-25 school year. The administration so recommends.
You heard the recommendation of the administration. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Myers, second by Commissioner Harris. Question or discussion? Seeing none, hearing none, we'll now cast our vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Motion passed.
Dr.
Now-
Bishop, I also, excuse me, I'm sorry, I also have those numbers, if the periods, if you like.
Sure.
20 periods in the high school and 30 in the middle school.
All right, thank you so much. All right, we're now on the Office of Superintendent. Item 13.01, Superintendent's Report.
Thank you,
Dr.
Dr.
Witherspoon.
Thank you, Dr. Bishop, and members of the board. South Carolina Department of Education recently released state testing results for the 2023-2024 school year. While we still have work to be done, we were pleased to see growth in student achievement in many of the areas. As we previously sent out, ARE reported that there was growth in SC Ready scores in all but one grade level, and growth also in EOC EP as well. 52 Richland 1 students had perfect scores in math, English, language arts, or both subject areas of SC Ready. 47 of our students had perfect scores in math, 3 students had perfect scores in ELA, and 2 students had perfect scores in both. Congratulations to those students. Their names and schools are posted on our website at richland1.org, and we look forward to recognizing them at an upcoming board meeting. And as we do annually, we are in process of preparing an AARE assessment report as the other areas of the assessment get released from the State Department. So look forward to that at an upcoming meeting accordingly. Yesterday, August 26th, I joined other representatives of area school districts that are a part of the Midlands Be Smart Task Force for a news conference at City Hall, kicking off the first Be Smart Week on August 26th through the 30th. Be Smart promotes the importance of responsible gun ownership and secure gun storage in an effort to keep children and our communities safe. All this week and throughout the year, you will see information from Be Smart posted on social media and on other platforms. And for more information, go to besmartforkids.org. And in the same vein, we are preparing an evening safety summit, if you will. We did this in previous years prior to COVID, and staff is working to do that again, where we bring representatives from law enforcement, our representatives from student support, including mental health, social work department, counseling services, and other supports in the community to talk about various aspects of safety. And there will be more information about that forthcoming as well. And we are going to invite members of the Be Smart organization to be in attendance at that meeting as well. Next, we are looking for more volunteers to serve as R1 champs for the 2023-2024-2025 school year. R1 Champs volunteers provide an additional adult presence and an extra set of eyes on campuses during the school day. They also support school staff and encourage students to do their best. 3 training sessions have been scheduled for persons who are interested in volunteering to serve as R1 Champs. The sessions will be held September 10th, September 24th, and October 8th at the Lion Street Student Services Center, each beginning at 5:30 p.m. Interested persons are asked to contact Mr. Kerry Abel, Dropout Prevention and Mentoring Services Coordinator, at 803-231-7182 or kerry.able@richland1.org. Since our last board meeting, we announced the dates for our 2025 graduation ceremonies. Our high school graduations will be held May 23rd, May 27th, and May 28th at the Colonial Life Arena. The full schedule, including the dates and times for adult education and Pendergrass Fairwall School graduations, are posted on our website at richland1.org. 3 Richland One educators are among 24 educators across the state who have been selected for the South Carolina ASCD's 2024-2025 Emerging Leaders Program. The program consists of educators with 5 to 15 years of experience who want to become more involved in the state's educational community. Program members are expected to share their expertise with ASCD members and the larger education community. Congratulations to Ariel Asuzu, an assistant principal at Drury High School, Dr. Prince Brewington, assistant principal for instruction at Creighton Middle School, and Faith Jones, who is an early childhood English language arts instructional coach. Team 1 is gearing up for the Prisma Health Midlands Foundation's 2024 Walk for Life and famously Hot Pink Half Marathon and 5K. And Dr. Bishop is displaying that. The fundraiser will be held Saturday, October 12th at Sigra Park. The annual event celebrates breast cancer survivors and lifts up others who are currently fighting this disease. Since 2010, Team Richland One has raised over $460,000 toward breast cancer education, patient services, and life-saving screening equipment. This total is just shy of our $500,000 fundraising goal. We encourage everyone to participate in this year's Walk for Life fundraiser and join the fight to eradicate breast cancer. To register or volunteer, district employees should contact their site team captains or contact Dr. Tracy Cooper, Director of Strategic Partnerships and Extended Day Programs, at tracy.cooper@richland1.org, or you may call 803-231-6842. Dr. Bishop, this and members of the board, this concludes my report.
All right, and also, Dr. Witherspoon, there's a QR code on these posters as well.
All right.
All right. Any questions for Dr. Witherspoon for the superintendent's report? Okay, that's okay. Commissioner Weston.
Dr. Witherspoon, I received you said the B&G state license. You got one of those, but they keep changing the name of the company. Would you have our internal auditor to check to see if those changes have been made, or including all of the name changes this group has changed?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. No other questions? Thank you, Dr. Witherspoon, for your superintendent's report. We're now under the Office of Board, which is item 14.01. And these are the board superintendent district goals. Dr. Witherspoon, do you need to present this to us as a recommendation, then we take the vote?
Yes, and because of Wi-Fi, it did, wait a minute, let me see if I can pull it up, because we're having some Wi-Fi delays.
All right.
Chairman Bishop, members of the board, and this is a follow-up to our strategic goal, strategic plan work, and the work session item that was spoke to next steps with the strategic plan that our consultant presented. And you have for your consideration this evening, 3 goals. And they also listed underneath are how the alignment to the student achievement performance goals, to district priority performance goals, school climate, teacher and administrator quality goals, in the various areas. First one, take strategic action to improve overall school performance based upon individual schools' needs, and that may vary, but again, that continuous improvement cycle is certainly embedded, and when you have designations and the like, when I say that may vary, there may be different areas for different schools, depending on what previous data has indicated. Secondly, take strategic action to increase staff recruitment and retention. Again, speaking to teacher administrative quality performance goal 12, district performance goal 9. And thirdly, take strategic action to provide additional student offerings that respond to individual students' interests and needs. Again, climate, performance, from student achievement and also district priority. And again, those interests and needs may vary, again, depending on whether those are surveys, whether that's other information that we glean from various data points. So, Mr. Chair, these are the 3 areas, and again, the accompanying goals and strategies that each were derived.
All right, this is an action item, and we need to have a motion and a second to take these as board superintendent district goals. There a motion on the floor?
Chairman, move to approve the 24-25 board superintendent district goals as presented.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by Commissioner Devine to accept the presented 2024-2025 board superintendent district goals. It's been second by Commissioner Clyburn. Question or discussion? Commissioner Weston?
Yes, sir. I'm interested, for example, take strategic action to improve overall school performance. By how much? Do we have something to SMART goal, 2%?
That's going to depend because, as previously stated, those goals may vary by school, by level, by how they're, each year schools are I won't say ranked, but depending on overall performance across the state, the schools may have certain designations. So that will vary. There are, schools are working on based on last year's data, they are working on now their school improvement plans and goals, which would have some, again, depending on the school, those goals may or may not look the same from school A to school B. So those will indeed vary. And then there will be an overall, again, cascading from that. And what's embedded in all 3 of these will be, and I appreciate the chair's work on this, our next work session will be in November. And each work session, we will bring you pieces of these, again, depending on where we are in the school year and what's going on in terms of professional development, in terms of any supplemental services and all that we have. And Dr. Minor, I think I saw you out there. If there's anything to this that you want to add, you may certainly do so.
Thank you. Yes, that is correct. Every single year, the scores at each of the schools will change. If you remember last year, about January, we got the list of schools that were unsatisfactory and below average, and they had to do a new plan, and we had to present to the board quarterly. So the new report cards are tentatively scheduled to come out on October the 10th. Pardon me. And so once that comes out, we will be able to cascade, as Dr. Witherspoon said, and take a look at what schools improved, what schools stayed the same, And looking at that list, we'll be able to kind of focus those goals a little bit more, but it does change every single year with the accountability manual and how they do give schools report cards every single year.
With that, is there a way to make them SMART goals by saying how many or how much we will improve? Just improving doesn't share very much with me.
Right. I believe that because we're setting the goals from 24 to 2029, once we have the new report cards out, we'll be able to take a better look at, all right, here's the average number of our schools that were below average, or here's the average number that were unsatisfactory. And so as we get that data, we definitely, I believe, can look at that. But right now, it really is, we don't have anything to compare it to yet. So once we get that other information, then we can kind of overall, because we are talking about every single school, can overall take a look at that and say, you know, we want to do this by a certain percentage. But right now, we just don't have the information to do that.
Then also, for example, take strategic action to increase staff recruitment and retention. Can we not have a baseline so that we can actually compare it to something and know how much we grow? Or is that for everything that we have to wait for the data from this year instead of previous years?
Well, that would be the same thing. I know Sarah, and I think Dr. Cummins and Sarah still do that. I don't think and they take the information that is sent, and another example of how sometimes there's lagging data to say in increase or decrease or what have you. And we will certainly, as Dr. Minor said, with the student data, the same thing. And again, once we know what we're looking at.
Okay, I am still having issues with or concerns about how we're going to measure whether we are successful or not if we don't have some place to start and then show how much we want to grow or.
Sure, but in the meantime, as we're in the first month of school, and again, looking at numbers and what we have, we do need the strategic and tactical items in place to continue to move forward at the same time.
Commissioner Devine, are you through?
I will stop,
Ms.
thank
West?
you.
All right.
SMART goals.
All right.
So let me ask this question. I think this will help Ms. Weston out. So over the years, what we've done is taken the strategic plan and looked at it and to say we're going from 19 to 24, now 24 to 29. So let me give you, for example, following what you're saying, performance goal number 12. Right now, teacher retention rate is about 16.4%. We said by 2029, we want to be at around 12%. So if I base it 16.4%, next year, I think the next item for 24, 25, or 25, 26 is to be around 15.9%. So that reduces from 16 to almost 14%. So you're reducing it by 2%. And the ultimate goal by 2029 is to get us to the 12%. So we're going from 16% 2024 to 2029 to 12%. Does that make sense?
Then why can't we say that?
Dr. Witherspoon? Well, it's in the strategic plan.
It is in the strategic
plan. I just know, I studied the strategic
Yeah,
plan.
but I'm saying for our goals, to know how much we need to grow or do, to follow that, to say we are going to that, and we're getting there inch by inch, or whatever it may be. So the information you just shared.
Yes, ma'am.
Why can we not put it to say we want to increase by 2% or by whatever
the number is, according to the strategic
It
plan.
needs numbers.
Is there anything, because we can always adjust the strategic plan, just like we've done in years past. When
That is
COVID hit,
correct.
we had to adjust it based off of where we were, because we knew that, say, for example, graduation rate wouldn't be as high as it was gonna be. We came back, made a motion, we reduced our strategic plan accordingly in some other
CCR,
areas
I think it was,
that we reduced too. So I don't have a problem with adding that. Is that okay? We go ahead and pass this tonight, then maybe on the Friday update, if you could add those numbers to the goals?
We can take a look at it. And again, it's.
Because it's already in the strategic plan.
It's already in strategic plan.
So it's
we
embedded
can,
in
we
there.
can look at those.
Right. So everybody knows where we're
divide by
going. And
4
and
and
we
that type
and we
of
go
thing.
and we
Yeah.
move forward.
All right, I do see Commissioner Harris hand, then I want to have a comment as well.
I guess I'm just asking this question for a point of clarification. In our strategic planning meeting, we've discussed those benchmarks and those numbers. Tonight, we asked the superintendent to come back and show us our focal points, the board superintendent district goals for 24 and 25. These are the 3 targeted areas. But if we take our strategic plan, when you look at the different goals, A, B, C, and D, it lists the goal in which we are championing. So it connects. We've just got to connect the strategic plan to the superintendent coming tonight, bringing what we asked him to bring us, and that was the 3 areas. That is what we are approving tonight, is the 3 areas. The measurement side of it is already embedded in the strategic plan. So just for clarification for my colleagues, tonight we're just approving what we asked the superintendent to give us, and that was show us a concise picture of what are those areas we're targeting. That's what this is. This is the picture. The movement and the percentages are in the strategic plan of where we want to be, how we want to grow year by year. So I just want to provide that clarification, because we're talking about 2 different things, but at the end it's the same thing. The strategic plan would need to be in hand along with this. This is all but what we could call the preference page of the strategic plan. These are our goals for the 24-25 calendar year. I just wanted to provide that clarification, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Commissioner Lomanak.
Thank you, Chairman Bishop. And I've stated this each year. These aren't really goals. I mean, that's the title of these. These are this year's goals. These are action items, they're steps. If any teacher turned these in as their SLO, they would get returned and told them to do over, because none of these are measurable. Number 2, take strategic action to increase staff recruitment and retention. Those are 2 very different things. We measure them differently. So that's a compound action item that's now masquerading as a goal. How much this year? Because when we say we've got a 5-year plan and numbers, we can't just divide the yearly numbers by 5 and come up with a realistic goal for each year, because as you get closer to your ultimate 5-year goal, it gets harder to close that gap. And I am surprised that we, given that these are our 3 priorities, that one of our goals is a very specific, measurable goal to increase retention by a certain amount this year, so that at the end of this year, we can say whether we met our goal or not. We cannot at the end of this year, based on how the number 2 is written, ever determine whether we met it or not. Secondly, I'm surprised that there's nothing about closing the various achievement gaps with a specific numerical goal that we will try to achieve by the end of this year. And there's no measurable career readiness goal that we will achieve by the end of this very year. I don't think there's any reason that we can't create measurable goals based on things that we're already following and measuring, but that demonstrate, 1, our priorities, but also 2, any normal person can determine whether we met that goal at the end of the year or not. And so I think that we really need to rethink, if we're going to keep these, let's not call them goals. They're just literally strategic actions. Thank you, Chairman Bishop.
All right. Dr. Witherspoon, I'm going to just ask something for clarity. There is some measurement that is in the cascading of these goals at the school level, and every school will be given this to float back up some numbers for us to have.
They're writing their plans now, and yes, there is cascading in that regard.
Maybe that's what we need to spend a little more time on. What does that mean to cascade? Just talk about that for a second, because what I'm hearing is that, as Commissioner Lomanak has said, this is a strategy or a plan that is being sent down to the schools to report back up to you. Is that what we are doing with these goals? So you can have something to measure as a district?
Yes, and each school will have, again, depending on the school and some of the data points as that trickles down, if you will, it gets released. have plans that they have to tweak and so forth. And that may vary from school to school. But does each school have plans they have to complete based on said data points? Yes.
Okay. So when will it come back to us in that November meeting to give us a status on if we're growing, or we're gaining?
Yeah, and let me get back with AARE and take a look at this and see, and I will certainly provide an update Friday.
Okay, so I guess we do have an action item on the floor with a second, but we do need a second motion to have this table.
No. Again, my motion was to go ahead and pass the goals as presented, and then staff comes back, I said Friday update, or as you said, maybe in a workshop, to get the actual numbers to add to the thing, once you get with, it was AARE staff, to see what those are.
Okay,
Because we shouldn't deviate from the strategic plan. I mean, we had the community involved, we had staff involved, we had the board involved, so we did our strategic plan, and we should stay within the boundaries of the strategic plan, and this actually stays within the boundary of the strategic plan.
all right. Commissioner Lomanak.
I move that we postpone discussion or vote on this agenda item until we have information that we can base measurable goals on.
Second.
Has been moved by Commissioner Lomanak, second by Commissioner Weston, to postpone this till we get the numbers. Is that what your motion?
Yes.
All right? We got,
No debate.
excuse me?
Said no debate.
No debate.
Said go straight to.
So all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's 2 ayes. All those opposed? All right, it's 5-2 that we don't postpone this, but we go back down to the original motion. And within that, we're asking that the superintendent send us those numbers by Friday after reviewing with the agency that helped with this and all of the strategic plan. That is a motion that was on the floor. All those in favor?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner.
Before we get to question, just for point of clarification, if Dr. Witherspoon can also provide, as Mr. Devine said, to go and approve this, our strategic plan and our goals don't just cover what we've talked about last week and yesterday. And that's what we've got to understand. When we had schools that came before this board at the request of this board to present where they were, why they were there, and they presented for us the plan, the goals. And as it was stated to us in that meeting, those schools that presented, and we had some others come before us, where we are and where we want to be, all of that is a part of us identifying and addressing our strategic plan. There are various layers that we are addressing. We're not just addressing SC Ready scores and just addressing our benchmarks. We're addressing schools that have been placed on the list for academic failure. What are we doing there? We're addressing schools that have a high increase of SPED population and ESOL. We have a different goal set for them. So I think they came and they brought us what those goals look like for those particular schools. If Dr. Witherspoon can provide for us from the schools, he just said that they're writing the plan. When the plan is done, it's going to show us the goal for Richland 1 as it relates to every school. Every school's goals are not the same. And that is what we've got to keep before us. It's multiple goals. Some schools don't need to grow by 5%. There are schools that need to grow by 20%. There are schools that have a high transition population and things we're putting in place to address that. Culture and climate of schools, all of these are part of what we're doing. And I think we've got to marry everything that we're doing. When we're having these work sessions, every work session ties back to the district and board and superintendent's goals. That meeting was the schools that we considered priority schools. So those priority schools goals are totally different from a school that may be on another level. So we've got to keep in mind that based on where you are as a school and how you're functioning determines your goals. So once we can get a picture, we get the big thing of these three titles. And that's what we are proving tonight. But when we drill down in this, being provided with the information of those 52 schools, this is the goal for Arden, this is the goal for E.E. Taylor, this is the goal for Dreher, this is the goal for Weber. That's where all of this comes together and becomes the goals and the districts and superintendent's goals. So I think we've got to understand it's a moving part right now still. Right now, he's just showing us the three targeted areas.
Okay?
Thank you.
Commissioner Weston.
Yes, if it were entitled targeted areas, focus areas, I could agree with that. You can wait for that. But if this is district goals for 24, 25, then we need numbers. And so it can be that unsatisfactory schools will become satisfactory, or so-and-so, so that we will have some numbers to work with to know how we're growing, if we're growing. So if these are just targeted areas, focus areas that we will look at in order to set our district goals, then that would make more sense.
Okay, Commissioner Myers.
I think I just want to explain something. We had a strategic plan meeting. And from my understanding, I believe Lomanek and Weston didn't attend that meeting. Weston, you probably came in a little later. They gave us the information that broke down exactly what the percentage was and where they was trying to go at each school. So for clarity, what they're trying to say is it's hard to name 52 schools on each one of these items and say, AC Flora need to be 1%, Laura Ridge need to be 5%. For each items, it's hard to actually put a percent down for each school. And I do have my information here if you want to look at it for 1 second, just to see how the percentage is already there.
What I'm talking about is how much growth do we need to do overall, not individually, but overall, and how much growth we plan to do. If it's going to be, we're going to be at 16% by 2029, then we're going to grow 2% this year, 2 more the next year. That's what I want to know.
Okay.
I understand.
Commissioner Lomanak.
Thank you, Chairman Bishop. I was able to watch the strategic planning meeting and have attended others, and I think, at least in my opinion, we're confusing school-level goals with district goals. And there are things that the district can do across the district that will impact each of our schools. For example, increase teacher retention by a certain amount and put that in there for each year. I think 2 years ago, we had a goal for our college or career readiness. After a debate like this, we actually set a number, a percentage. We didn't meet it, but we set it. So we knew that board voted unanimously that we were going to get to, I think, 60% college or career ready. We knew at the end of that year what this board expected and whether we got there. That was measurable. We were able to put a number on that across the district. I certainly understand that every school is different and they're going to have different school level goals, but that's different than these district goals. So I think that we could do better by coming up with some district level measurable goals that are separate and apart from each of the individual school goals, especially the schools that fall in those various categories where they're required to present plans.
All right. I think we had a motion on the floor and a second. We want to make sure we take action on that. So all those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
All right, it is a 5-2 vote. The ayes have it. Motion passed, 5-2. All right, we're now at item 14.02, legal advice regarding the Events for Early Learning Center construction project, commission presented by Dr. Richardson. This was just information item. This was an information item that was shared with us. Question or discussion? Seeing none, hearing none, we'll continue on. Now we're at item 14.03, board report. This is an item where our board members can share something that they feel our community needs, as well as something they want to share that they've been part of or participate in. This is our board report. Any commissioners? All right, Commissioner Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let me first start by thanking all of you that were able, and I'm speaking from the regional director seat at this time, that were able to attend our school law conference in Charleston. A lot of information, very important information was shared. One of the things I do want to add, Mr. Chair, and I'm requesting, we do have trainers at SCSBA, and I know a lot of times our colleagues do not make it to these conferences. If we can request Ms. Gwen Hampton to come in to work with us, I think one of the important things we need to talk about is when we set the strategic plan and how we map that out so everybody can be on the same page and have clarity on how, when we set a new strategic plan, which is the 24-29 year, it's different from what we done last year and the year before. So I think bringing in that added resource that we have out there with SCSBA would be a great addition for my colleagues. And if we can add that to maybe our next work session to give Ms. Hampton some time to work with us to better understand what it is that we're doing when we say we're setting our school district's goals, because you cannot separate district goals from schools. Schools are the things that make up the district. So we need to make sure that we have someone come in and kind of help us understand what our standards are, so forth, in South Carolina. So I'm just sharing that from a SCSBA standpoint. Thank you.
All right, well, I'll reach out to the board through Dana to see if we can get that sooner than later, so we can have that work session and see what your availability is as a board. Okay? Any other board reports? Commissioner Devine.
Just a question, Dr. Witherspoon, typically when do we present the scores presentation? When is that again?
I think, as Dr. Minor was saying, I think the last piece is the report card piece, and Dr. Minor, please come up. And normally we do that, I think over the last few years, it's been around October by the time everything gets released. But I'll defer to Dr. Minor on that.
Report card date right now is October the 10th, when it will be released to the public, and all the scores will be released then, from graduation rate, and all of the testing scores will be there. And so normally at that time, I will go ahead and present on the data, and then teaching and learning, Dr. Williams will kind of report on the things that they worked on last year with them. So we are probably looking for end of October, 1st of November to do that report.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
All right? No other questions? No other comments? No other reports? All right, well, now we're going.
Chairman.
Okay,
Sorry.
Commissioner Lomanak.
When I was looking at the strategic action regarding staff recruitment and retention, I was reminded of an information request, and I just would request that the minutes reflect that I requested in May the teacher turnover by school data, and we still haven't received that, and I just want to make sure the minutes reflect that. Thank you, Chairman Bishop.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner Devine.
Thank you. I think, and I'm not trying to be adversarial, but I believe that was on the green sheet or yellow sheet to be done
August 30th,
sometime this month or next month?
August 30th, 2024.
Okay.
That's right, it was. I just want the
Okay.
minutes to reflect my request in May and that we haven't received it yet. Thank you.
But it's not due until August 30th or end of the month. Again, I'm not trying to be adversarial.
No, I understand.
I just
I think the first date I was given was August 1st, but it doesn't matter when it's due because the due date apparently is made up. I just want the minutes. All I'm asking is that minutes reflect that I requested it in May, we haven't received it yet. When we get it, we'll certainly talk about it, and everybody will know that at that point we've received it. Thank you.
So what you're just stating is just that you did, you want everyone to know that we're waiting on it.
I just want the minutes to reflect that we haven't received it yet.
Okay, all right,
It was just a minutes request item, that's
Yeah.
it.
cool. All right, no other board report?
I just have one.
Yeah, go ahead, Commissioner Clyburn.
Thank you so much, Chairman Bishop. I just wanted to welcome an apartment community to our city, Garden Lakes Apartment Homes. It's a community off of North Main Street, very close to where I live. So I attended a ribbon cutting or a grand opening ceremony on yesterday evening and addressed the crowd there. Very nice group, very nice community. So I just wanted to welcome them to Richland 1. They're very excited, and they're almost to capacity. I believe they have about 80 spaces to get filled. So I just wanted to welcome them. Thank you.
All right. We're going to item, Commissioner Harris.
I'm sorry, I did not do my board report. Okay, I'm gonna be real brief. I did have the opportunity to attend 2 national night outs that was hosted in the Lower Richland community. One was at Lower Richland and one was at Eastover Park. Certainly want to thank the mayor of Eastover, Mayor Favor, for the amazing job that he is doing there in our community, my hometown. And then on Sunday, I had an opportunity to be at a ribbon cutting ceremony at Bible Way Church on Atlas Road for their new youth center. Had an opportunity to tour. It is an amazing facility. And I certainly want to thank Pastor Darrell Jackson and his entire Bible Way church community for putting on one of the biggest, I would say, community events ever, because it ended up turning into a community day, and it was amazing. But to see that facility, it is state of the art for the children in our community. So I just wanted to publicly thank Bible Way Church of Atlas Road for their dedication to the young people in our community. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm sorry.
All right, with no other board report, we're going to item 15, which is adjournment. Before we adjourn, we'd like to read a statement, which is item 15.01. The next regular meeting of the Richland 1 Board of School Commissioners will be held September 10th, 2024, at 7 p.m. at the Stevenson Administration Building. With no objection, we now stand adjourned.